Hey, my name is Aaron White with the A-List team, and today we're going to be talking about the A-List team advantage. What is it that you can expect from the A-List team if you are asking the A-List team to list your home and sell your home for you? What are the types of communication that you will get from us to you? When does that occur? And what types of expectations do we set as we go through the process of getting your house ready to list, getting it on the market, dealing with offers and negotiations that come across, getting the house under contract, and all the way to close. Stick with us as we get you all the way to the closing table. By the way, in today's video, we're going to be covering a lot of things that are detailed out in our listing packet. When we come out to meet you, we'll give you a copy of that listing packet, or we can give you a digital copy as well. Makes it easy to review and understand what you can expect to get from us as we engage with you throughout that sales process. We also have a number of detailed videos that go into details on what we look at when we go into pricing, what we go into it when we're looking at marketing, and all those kinds of things. So feel free to reference those if you want to deep dive into any one of these categories. But for today, we're going to stick through the main categories, how we communicate, and the structure that we provide on when you'll be engaging with us and how we'll be engaging with you. So in phase one, we're getting the house ready to list and getting it ready to put on the market. And we're going to cover several different things. One, we'll have a number of listing agreements and just disclosures and documents that we'll send your way, have an agreement on. Then we'll schedule a meeting to discuss a specific pricing strategy. In the pricing strategy, we're going to be looking at your financial goals. We're going to be looking at market data, and ultimately coming up with a strategy that ultimately balances that pricing and timing given the current market and what other people are selling their homes near you. Following the pricing discussion, we'll walk through an in-home consultation, giving you some tips and pointers that we see that will help you present your home in the best light possible. The common ones that are really low cost, if no cost at all, are simply replacing a few burned out light bulbs, doing some touch-up paint, and decluttering. And even though your home may not be very cluttered, we want to go to an extreme level when presenting your home. Things like a toaster that might be on the counter, we want to put that away and have as much clear space as possible. If there's furniture that's not being used, could we find temporary storage to put that furniture in, giving it a very open and revealing feel to your home, shedding the best light possible on the experience that the buyers face when they walk through your home. Of course, if you do need contractors throughout the process, we have a Rolodex of plumbers and painters and carpenters and all sorts of masonry people, etc., that we're happy to share with you, get you our preferred pricing that we get as we give them a lot of business for our clients, and get you on the path to getting whatever you need done to your home to put it in the best light possible with the comparable properties. And in the last step of phase one is professional photographer. We're going to schedule the time for that photographer to come out, take those photos, edit those photos, and get them back to us, ultimately preparing to get your listing live. In phase two, we'll be focusing on getting your home on the market. We'll be focusing on using your knowledge and our knowledge of the neighborhood, the amenities, the community, all that kind of stuff into your listing, letting the buyers know what they're buying and what they're getting into in that area. Also, we'll be focusing on getting this not only on the MLS here at har.com, but we'll be getting this onto Zillow, onto Redfin, and a whole bunch of eXp Realty's affiliate resources that will be broadcasting the listings live to many, many eyes as possible. The second part of getting it on the market is where we rev up those engines on our marketing engine, from social media videos, advertising on social media, getting it with premier listing into our website, and also broadcasting that to our existing buyers as a premier listing that they should look at. And then last of all, getting some postcards ready to send out to your street and your neighbors, ultimately letting them know, hey, they can choose their neighbor and bring them in to buy your home. All right, great. We have the property marketed. We have the property listed. Let's kick back in. Oh, not quite yet. We're not ready to relax yet. We're going to be working very dedicated on communicating. Communication is extremely important. It's important that not only are we communicating externally to buyers, externally to agents that are asking questions, and our team's ready to answer that phone, but we're also communicating internally to you as our client. It's important that you understand what we're doing, what we're seeing, and how we're reacting to that in the market. So we schedule that communication, and that communication looks as an email and a phone call, giving you several bits of information throughout every week. What is the feedback that we got on showings? What is the price for actives, the price for solds, and the price for pending homes of the previous week in your neighborhood of a similar nature. So we're going to be looking at specifically price per square foot. And by the third week of our listing, you should be the expert on your block, knowing what is driving price, what is not driving price, what are the homes that are selling for the highest looking like, and what are the homes going for the lowest rates looking like, ultimately giving you the information that you need to make that important pricing decision as we go along the journey of selling your home. Of course, we'll also be communicating with you back and forth as we get inquiries or potential offers coming your way, and every offer that we get will be landed on your plate as soon as we get it. And that brings us to phase 3, which is offers and negotiations. When we receive an offer, we're going to bring that offer to you and understand, how do you feel about the offer? Do you like the terms? Do you understand the terms? We're also going to prepare a net sheet, basically showing you all of these complicated terms and conditions. What does it cost you? When are you going to get that money? And how much money are you going to actually walk away with after loans and title insurance and all of that stuff, right? So breaking it down, making it simple. Once we understand that, then that gives us the ammunition we need to go negotiate and maximize those terms or maximize that price to ultimately get you where you want to be. So that typically looks like we'll pick up the phone, we're going to call the agent, of course, that sent us the offer, and potentially the lender that sent us a pre-approval letter for that buyer, and understand some circumstances. What is the timing they need to move by? Do they have a deadline behind that? Do they have other things that they really, really liked about the home? Little bits of information like that will ultimately help us see, can we put a little bit of pressure here? Can we give a little pushback here to maximize that engagement? Or are we getting maybe the max offer potential out of this potential buyer? And then congrats, you're under contract in the next step of this negotiation and offer phase, where you are now in the option period. And in the option period, you're likely going to get a few requests for either repairs or concessions or price reductions from that potential buyer. Fortunately, we're pretty active in the investor community. We have a Rolodex of different handyman and people that have done a lot of work. We've seen prices come across our table all the time, and we have a decent understanding of what things actually cost to fix and repair. We're going to be ready to help review those with you and see what is realistic, or if the prices actually match up to reality, and then ultimately counter with those negotiations. And the last piece of negotiations really boils down to the appraisal. And we have a whole video dedicated to this and understanding this. So if you're in that category where you're really trying to push, maybe set new higher limits in your neighborhood, go review that video. We'll cover in detail how we do that. But the key thing here is, if we have a listing, we don't want to leave the appraisal to just maybe speculate on how we came up with the pricing. We have some sort of logical case or application that we've come up with and worked with you on how we should list that price and price that property. And we're going to try to defend ourselves proactively to make sure that the appraiser has all of that information when they go out to the house and look at it. We want them to see neighborhood trends, specific locations, features and upgrades that you did, and have everything spelled out easily in black and white so they can just pick it up and apply those numbers right into their appraisal report, getting you top dollar. So we might ask you a few questions, but ultimately we'll put that report together and get that in the appraisal's hands before they go out there. And this now brings us to phase 4. I know we've been under contract already, but we were talking a lot about negotiation for option and lenders. But now the under contract phase, we're going to be continuously working with the agent and the lender just to make sure that we're on time and on schedule for that closing date, walking them along and setting those expectations so that we're all showing up at the same time and no one's falling behind. We're also going to be working to coordinate a final walkthrough, usually on the last day before closing or even 3 days before closing, where that buyer comes through one more time, just to look at the property, the condition of the property, make sure nothing changed of a substantial nature from the time you moved out to the time that they take possession of that property. And then on closing day, we're going to send you that friendly reminder. Make sure you bring those keys. Make sure you bring that garage door opener. Make sure you bring your government ID, because you can't close without government ID. And then finally, we're going to be communicating with the title company, the lender, and the buyer's agent to make sure that everyone showed up to sign, everyone has the information, all the documents that they need, and that this deal funds and you get paid. Congratulations, you got paid, you closed. You'll still receive 2 communications from us. 1, reminding you to cut off your utilities because you no longer own that house. And then second of all, have your mail forwarded, simple and easy. All of these communications are done electronically and, of course, giving you calls or text messages as per your communication preference. but we're gonna button these up, make them very simple. You'll receive a lot of checklists or step-by-step instructions, different blogs that we've written, videos, etc., giving you more detailed experience if you've never sold a home before, walking you through every single step of the way. We find that structure in communication is extremely important because at the end of the day, if we have a volume of customers, we have to be able to make sure that every single customer receives proper communication at the proper time, given their circumstances, and that nothing gets left behind. We started this really because we analyzed literally thousands of failed listings. When we first started, we were contacting and reaching out to a lot of different people who had a listing. They showed the intent to sell, but for one reason or another, their property didn't sell, and that listing was either terminated or expired, ran out of time, and they didn't get the opportunity to sell. What we found is that houses really only don't sell for 4 different reasons. They have either bad photos, they didn't have the proper marketing to get them out in front of as many people as possible, the agent did not provide proper communication from communication externally or communication internally with their client, showing them the work that they were doing, and the last of all, the home was priced incorrectly. But we can't expect you to price the home correctly if we're not communicating extremely clearly and extremely regularly with you, giving you ultimately the expertise that you need to price your home to reach your goal. So this is why we put such immense structure into how we approach those listings and how we work with sellers on a regular basis. We work truly as a team here at the A-List team, from prepping the data, from prepping the communication, making things extremely simple for our agents as they work with you and communicating with you here at the A-List team. So we hope they have an opportunity to serve you in listing of your home, and we'll see you at the closing table.